I'm getting a bit stuck with something I've been thinking about recently, and so I'm just going to do a little video just to kind of see what people think and see if people have got some ideas about the way forward. I've been delivering training since 2017 and I'm really happy with the courses I deliver. People have a really good experience. I think the feedback I get is really great. And yet I expect that for many people, they do a day's worth of theory about the law, they hear stories about how they can make a difference, and I suspect that the next day at work, when they come across a situation where their client is being gatekept or kind of treated badly in some other way, I suspect that many of them don't survive their first encounter with a housing officer who's breaking the law. And I guess that I'm not going to be able to do a good job of explaining how difficult it is. I can tell you that my experience of challenging Bedford Borough Council between 2013 and 2017, when I kind of broke the back of the resistance, I'd say was the most difficult thing I've ever done. And it's not not cognitively, in the sense that it wasn't because the law itself was particularly difficult. Often it was very easy, but it's just the gaslighting and the bullying and just the whole Kafkaesque kind of sort of world you find yourself in suddenly without asking for it. You just thinking that the council should follow the law. And I guess I'm just interested to hear what people think about how do we prepare people for those battles. How do we support people in those battles, given that it can take many years? I think I'm reading the private eye book about the post office scandal. It's called Post-Mortem. I highly recommend it. Forwards by Sir Alan Bates, and it just details just how corrupt and horrendous so many people in the post office were. And yet I'm sure they're all very nice people. I mean, Paula Venables is a kind of local vicar or whatever at my local village church. Everyone tells me she's very nice, and yet the things they did were utterly outrageous. It's very difficult to explain how bad things were, really. They were literally, they knew full well that their system was broken, and they continued to put people in prison. And in a very similar way, I'd say housing officers, they know full well that they are gatekeeping, and they still, not happily, but they're still prepared to put people on the streets and just deny people housing assistance. And I always think about how many people who've been homeless tell me that prison was better than being homeless. So yeah, we kind of, I don't quite know what the answer is. How do we get our sector, how do we get our society to stop tolerating this unlawful stuff? And how do we equip and empower people on the front line, kind of frontline workers or whatever, to see those kinds of cases through without losing their marbles, basically? Because I certainly, my mental health, I'll tell you some stories maybe another time. I was very unwell as a result of my little journey in terms of challenging Bedford Borough Council. So yeah, I don't quite know where to take it, but yeah, I'd love to hear from anyone ideas about how do you actually do that. How do you help more people to dig in with their clients? So I've had some really encouraging stories recently where people have come on the training, they've told me about a case maybe on the training, and then I've maybe kind of done a bit of follow-up with them and just kind of helped them, kind of just point them in the right direction, and they have been willing to fight their council all the way. And it's amazing. I love it. It's unfortunately not the norm. I don't quite know what it is. Some people will fight all the way and some people won't. Part of it is just because it is very unpleasant. I guess that's the thing, isn't it? And I guess people, they're scared about losing their jobs and so on. So yeah, I'd probably stop waffling on, but interested to hear your thoughts, basically. And yeah, I've been talking a lot about this idea, or thinking a lot about this idea, that the sector is in this state of learned helplessness, where we've resigned ourselves that no matter what we do, homelessness is going to keep getting worse, and so we keep not taking the most straightforward kind of strategy, which is to make councils follow the law and make councils house people when they should be housing people. Yeah, in that learned helplessness experiment, they were able to teach those dogs how to kind of take evasive action again. So it's not, for me, I'm not completely pessimistic about it, but just interested to think through how do we, in our own little ways, try and support people to do it more.